You don't have to pay thousands of dollars a year for a CRM. Hey everyone, I wanted to make a short video just talking about cold calling because I feel like a lot of people have so many excuses when it comes to cold calling, saying, well, I don't have a CRM, I don't know where to put this information, I don't even know where to get this information from. And the reality is that it's really just some procrastination techniques, right? If you really wanted to learn, you would go onto Google, you'd figure out where you could sign up for data aggregate services like Apollo and be able to create your lists and get them into a system like a spreadsheet. And that's what today's video is really going to be about, is how you get started for free, right? You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for lead lists. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars a year for a CRM. You can literally get started today for free. So today we're going to try and do some cold calling on the cheap. So I'm going to try and figure out the best ways for people to utilize Apollo so that they can get their cold call lists. And then we're going to put that into Google Sheets for tracking and whatever else we decide to go through today. So let's figure out how we can do this on the cheap without people having to spend an arm and a leg on cold call lists. So first things first, let's get Apollo loaded up here. I already did a video on how to use Apollo a little bit, but again, I'm still using the free version, right? So you can sign up for free. So I'm still using the free version. I'm going to see if I am still stuck with a search cap, because that's something I came across the other day when I was doing some prospecting. Is I came across there was a search cap that you have. So okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just going through Apollo like I did in the other video, so feel free to take a look in the caption below for that video. But really what I'm showing here is just putting companies into a list, because what we're going to use is that list to get that into Google Sheets. It's going to be a bit of a manual process, which you'll see here in just a few seconds. The idea is that we're doing everything for free, right? So we're not going to use the export credits that Apollo gives us. We're going to take some of this information that we can gather and put this into our Google Sheet. So this is just me going through and putting that in there, and I'll return in just a sec. Okay, so here's the lead list I just created. Now, what's going to be the best way to do this? Well, I think the best way to do this would be to open up Google Sheets. Let's do that here. Switch it to my other account. And let's create a sheet. And let's call this... Okay. Perfect. So this is just a blank sheet. Anybody has access with a Google account to Google Sheets, so I'd recommend just signing up for free. We're going to call this IT lead list, cold calls. Okay, now the thing is that I'm going to want to track company names, so let's put company name in the title, or in the header there. Let's also just click in here. Let's see what else I can put in for a title. Okay, so now we have lead name, we have the lead title, we have email if that's applicable, lead phone number, company phone number. Might actually move this over, just because I don't like using the lead phone number as much as just calling the company phone line. And then we have their, let's say, lead, LinkedIn, and company website. I think that's a good start. And then let's just go notes. And I might actually insert a column to the left here. Let's call this status. Just so that we know if we've called them or not, we're going to use that as status, and then notes we're going to use. Okay, so good. So ECO Canada is going to be, and then our lead name, let's say I want to reach out to let's just go through here and see. Oh, move the job title here. Well, let's actually go based on seniority, job title. Okay, let's just go over here. Let's just go through this. So for me personally, a vice president of finance and operations would probably be a good person for me to reach out to. So Kimberly Burfoot. So let's just put her information in here. Oh. Oh. Wrong spot. Paste special, values only. Okay, so she's in there now. Then lead title, she's VP of Finance and Operations, so VP of Finance and Ops. Now, could also put her email in there. I'm not going to. I'm just going to make up a random email. Let's just say it was K Burfoot at ecocanada.ca. Probably not her email, but it's just to get the general purpose, right? Company phone number, we can go here. We can copy that phone number. We can plop that in here. Paste. Let's go paste as plain text. Okay, perfect. Formula error. Well, it's not really a formula, so I don't know why it's giving us a problem. So change this. Is there a formula button here? Format. We're going to call this plain number. It's probably upset just because there was a plus sign there. Oh, equals. Yeah, okay. So put that in there. Not going to put in the lead phone number. I'm just going to go 111-1111. Yeah, just like that. LinkedIn, we can put that in there. The reason why we put in this information is in case we ever need to go back or we lose access to Apollo, you don't have to rely on, outdated information or information that you forgot to put in there. So I usually like to put in information that's going to be helpful for me. So sometimes their LinkedIn is going to be helpful because that's an extra point of contact that I can reach out to them. So let's go ahead and copy link address, put this in here. Perfect. Company website. Again, I can pull that right from these links here. So copy link address. Again, company website is going to be good for verification, right? So if you haven't done your vetting yet, then it's good to also have that in here. Okay, so status. We're going to put the status as lead. And then notes. We haven't done anything yet, so no point in putting in notes, right? And so then we can go through here, and I mean, again, very manual process. But again, if you're doing it on the cheap and you have a little bit of time, feel free. Just go through here, put in a bunch of people's contact info that you think would be great to get in contact with, right? That way you don't hit the limit where you have to pay for Apollo. You can just utilize some of the resources that they give you for free, right? So then if I go back again, I can go back to my lead lists. Let's say I also want to add this company in here, and I want to go to their people, and let's say I want to reach out to lots of branch managers here. Director of Corporate Development, that's going to be perfect contact for me, so that I, same sort of thing, come in here. I'm going to put the lead name in here, and Tundra Processing Solutions, I can copy that name in here. Okay. Perfect. Who is he? Director of Corporate. Director of Corp Development. I'm just doing some abbreviations here. That's fine. Again, just random email address at a.com. Just showing as a example here, right? So you don't have to kind of wonder what this would look like, right? So put that in here. Get rid of the plus sign. Leave phone number again. And let's see if he's got a LinkedIn here. So, oh, I went a little too far. And look at that, it does have a LinkedIn, so we can copy that link. And company website again, yep, we can copy that. Put that in there. And again, change this to lead. Okay, so you can see the general premise of what we're doing here is we're really just kind of building out like almost like a free CRM, right? So you don't have to pay for like a HubSpot or anything like that. Even though HubSpot would be really great for capturing this information. And so people don't even have to think about what the learning process of HubSpot would be or anything like that, right? So now that we've created a little bit of a CRM in this spreadsheet, now what we can do is, okay, so now we can go through and do the calls, right? So imagine that I just had this call and I put in the notes here, talked with reception desk, and we put in her name, maybe it's Carol. She informed me that they are interested in learning more about our solutions. So interested in learning more about our solutions and would like to have Kimberly reach out to me. And that just goes into the notes. There we go, wrap. Okay, so now that we have the notes in there, right, now we can change this to, instead of a lead, well, we can still leave it as a lead, but maybe we need another status here, right? So we can call this status and, well, actually we could rename this to type, right? Because we want to know what kind of lead it is. And then let's just go insert to the left here. And let's call this status. And for this status, why don't we call this follow-up, right? And this one we can call needs cold call, right? So now we have a type, so the type is the lead, and then we have a status column here, and we can actually get a little more specific here as well, because we can do things like drop downs, right? So in the drop down, we can call this, okay, not type, right? So we can apply that to, yeah, all of them there. Then we can add another item. We can call this qualified, disqualified, and then done, right? So now we change that type to qualified. And of course we can use the same sort of drop down parameters here for whatever parameters that you have set up, right? So if you want, you know, status to be follow-up, needs cold called, left voicemail, that sort of thing, you can definitely come through and just either do the drop downs again, or in my case, I like to have my statuses fillable, right? So let's say I called Tundra Processing Solutions, right? So let's say I talked to Michael, that they are currently in contract with vendor already, and that agreement or that contract is ending in 2026 and call back then. Right, so let's say we can change this now from needs cold call to called and follow up in 2026. So then it gives you just a little bit of a snapshot of what has happened so far. You got your notes there, you got your status, follow up in 2026, right? You can set up a little calendar reminder if you need, right? But the idea is that you just come through here and you just fill up the information as best as possible, right? It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be, you know, super expensive to come and just do cold calls, right? Like, you have access to these things, it's just going to require some time, right? That's the biggest thing, is exchanging time for money. And if you got a lot of time, great. then you can come through here and you can spend a lot of time doing these things. I'll create another video on the best way to use a CRM and kind of import some of this information into the CRM so that you don't have to sit here and exchange your time for money, right? You would rather just come in here, select the ones that you want, import them to your CRM, and then start doing your cold calls without having to spend hours building up a free lead list. But of course, those that are just getting started, this is always a good place to start and understand where you want to build out your processes, what kind of information you want to have, so that when you do want to go purchase a CRM or you are looking at a CRM, you know what you might be looking for, and you know the things that are going to be very important to you, such as maybe the types or the statuses. Are those customizable? Where are the notes? All of those sort of things. Where if you don't have a process like this, if you just jump directly into a CRM, you're going to be overwhelmed with a bunch of guides and tutorials and everything like that, and then you're never going to get started on your cold calls, right? So it's always better to start with something than try to go 100% or 200% into a CRM that you're never going to be able to fully utilize, because all you need to do is do cold calls, right? So guys, the biggest takeaway here is that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a CRM. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a lead list. The thing is you can get started for free. You can use the data aggregate services. You can use Google Sheets and start building out the information that you want to capture and putting those notes in there so that you can get started today doing your cold calls. It's just going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, but you don't have to worry. It's not going to cost you a lot. Thanks for staying tuned, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.